Have you noticed something changing lately? Maybe it's that faint ache in your lower back when you stand too long, or the way your posture seems to shift ever so slightly forward, making it harder to stand tall. Perhaps it was a minor trip or a slip that left you more sore than expected, and lingering longer than it used to. If you're over 60, you're not imagining things. These little changes could be your bones quietly calling for help. See, most of us grow up thinking about strong bones as a concern for growing kids. We drink milk, play outside, and don't think twice about jumping off a porch step. But as we age, that quiet support system, the very foundation of our strength, begins to wear thin. And the scariest part? It often does so without warning. The truth is, bone loss after 60 isn't just a possibility. It's common. And while many assume it's just part of getting older, there's more to the story. Because what if the real problem isn't aging at all? What if it's simply missing a few critical minerals your bones desperately need to stay strong? In this video, we're going to talk about 3 powerful science-backed minerals that can help slow, stop, or even reverse bone loss in your later years. These aren't exotic powders or pricey supplements. They're real, proven nutrients, some of which might already be in your kitchen. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, what to eat, and how to protect the independence your bones give you every single day. Because getting older doesn't mean becoming fragile. With the right support, your bones can carry you further, longer, and with confidence. Let me take you back for a moment. You're standing at the sink, reaching up to grab a mug from the cabinet, something you've done 1,000 times before. But this time, there's a small twinge in your back. It's not sharp, not unbearable. But it's there. And a few hours later, it's still there. Sound familiar? If you've noticed more little aches lately, more stiffness in your spine, hips that don't feel as solid as they used to, or even just a sense of being less steady, it might not be just the passage of time. It could be a quiet signal from the deepest parts of your body, your bones. And behind so many of those signals is one essential mineral: calcium. You probably already know calcium is important for bones. You've heard it your whole life. But here's something most people don't realize. Calcium isn't just helpful for bone strength. It is your bones. About 99% of the calcium in your body is stored in your bones and teeth. It's what gives them structure, hardness, and the ability to support your weight every single day. As we age, however, our ability to retain calcium declines, especially after 60. The natural bone breakdown process, called resorption, begins to outpace bone formation. And if your calcium intake isn't keeping up, your body starts withdrawing calcium directly from your bones to keep blood levels stable. It's like a bank account you've stopped depositing into, but you're still making withdrawals. Unlike a broken bone or a sprained ankle, calcium deficiency doesn't always scream. It whispers. You might feel it as a dull ache in your lower back, loss of height over time, brittle fingernails, cracking teeth, leg cramps, especially at night, weakened grip strength or joint instability. In more advanced cases, a lack of calcium contributes to osteoporosis, a condition where bones become so porous and fragile that even a mild fall or a sudden twist can lead to a fracture. I once spoke with a woman, 67 years old, who fractured her wrist simply by opening a window that was stuck. Her bones had weakened so quietly, so gradually, she had no idea anything was wrong until that moment. That's how calcium loss works. It doesn't take your strength all at once. It chips away, one unnoticed day at a time. So, what's going on here? Why do older adults need to worry so much about calcium, even if they eat well? The answer lies in biology. lower stomach acid production. As we age, we produce less stomach acid, which is needed to absorb calcium effectively, especially from food. Vitamin D deficiency. Without enough vitamin D, your body can't absorb the calcium you eat, no matter how much dairy or broccoli you consume. Hormonal changes. Postmenopausal women, in particular, experience a drop in estrogen, which plays a key role in maintaining bone density. Medications. Diuretics, corticosteroids, and certain thyroid medications can increase calcium loss through urine or interfere with absorption. Less weight-bearing exercise. Less physical activity means fewer signals telling your bones to stay strong and rebuild. Add it all up, and you have a perfect storm for bone weakening, unless you actively intervene. The good news? Calcium is abundant in both food and supplements, but the catch is, many older adults still don't get enough. Here are some top food sources of calcium: dairy, yogurt, milk, cheese, leafy greens, kale, collard greens, bok choy, but not spinach, too much oxalate, fish with bones, sardines, canned salmon, fortified foods, orange juice, cereals, plant-based milks, check the labels, seeds and nuts, chia seeds, almonds, sesame seeds. Now here's where many people go wrong. They rely on coffee, soda, or processed foods, which can leach calcium from your bones or prevent it from being absorbed. Even worse, they may be taking calcium supplements without vitamin D or magnesium, two nutrients your body needs to properly utilize calcium. Without those, your supplement might just pass right through you, doing little to strengthen your bones. If you're over 60, chances are your daily food intake may not be covering your full calcium needs. The recommended daily calcium intake is 1,200 milligrams per day for women over 50 and men over 70. 1,000 milligrams per day for men aged 51 to 70. But don't go overboard. More is not better. Too much calcium, especially from supplements, can lead to kidney stones or interfere with the absorption of other minerals like zinc or iron. Aim for a balance. Get most of your calcium from food and fill the gap with a modest supplement only if needed and only under medical advice. You might be surprised to know calcium also regulates muscle contractions, including your heart, supports nerve communication, helps blood clot properly. So when your calcium levels are low, you don't just lose bone strength. You might feel fatigued, anxious, or even experience irregular heartbeats. That's why this one mineral is so essential to whole body health, not just bone health. There's a common myth that weak bones are a one-way road, that once they start to thin, you're doomed to a future of fractures and falls. That's not true. Your bones are living tissue. They can rebuild if you give them what they need. And calcium is the first brick in that foundation. I once heard a man in his 70s say, "I thought I had to stop gardening because of my back pain. Turned out I just had to start eating Greek yogurt and taking a walk every day." Within months, his doctor told him his bone density had improved. He smiled and said, "I got my shovel back." So don't underestimate calcium. It's not just a mineral, it's a message to your body that says, "Stay strong, I'm still building." In the next section, we'll explore another quiet mineral that helps turn that calcium into bone and keeps your bones from crumbling under pressure. It's often overlooked, but just as essential. Let's talk about magnesium. Let me ask you something simple, but important. When was the last time you thought about magnesium? If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. We hear about calcium. We hear about vitamin D. But magnesium? It barely gets a mention. And yet, this quiet little mineral may be one of the most important keys to protecting your bones as you age. Not just supporting them, not just slowing down loss, but helping them stay strong, flexible, and resistant to fracture. Let me explain. Magnesium is often called the body's helper mineral because it's involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body. But when it comes to your bones, its role is much more direct and powerful than people realize. Here's what magnesium does behind the scenes. It helps convert vitamin D into its active form, so your body can actually use it to absorb calcium. It stimulates calcitonin, a hormone that helps preserve bone structure and pull calcium out of soft tissue where it doesn't belong. It regulates calcium transport so that calcium ends up in your bones, not your arteries. In simple terms, without magnesium, calcium can't do its job. It's like having bricks with no mortar, or tools with no hands to use them. What happens when you're low on magnesium? Here's the scary part. It's estimated that more than 50% of older adults are magnesium deficient, and many don't even know it. Why? Because the symptoms are subtle. They sneak in. One day it's a little more muscle tension, then it's trouble sleeping, then maybe a leg cramp here, a heartbeat that feels off there. But over time, a magnesium deficiency can lead to accelerated bone loss and brittle bones, increased risk of osteoporosis, more frequent falls and slower recovery, calcium building up in the wrong places, like blood vessels, not bones. I remember a gentleman, 74 years old, who told me his knees had started clicking and aching every time he got up from the couch. He assumed it was arthritis, age, or just the way it is now. But after a routine blood test showed low magnesium, his doctor recommended a supplement and a few dietary changes. 2 months later, he wasn't just moving easier. He said, "I feel like my body is actually cooperating with me again." That's what magnesium does. It helps your body feel like it still belongs to you. Why magnesium deficiency is so common after 60. As we get older, the body's ability to absorb and retain magnesium decreases, especially if you take diuretics, often prescribed for blood pressure or heart issues. You've had digestive problems like acid reflux or IBS. You eat mostly processed or refined foods, white bread, sugary snacks, soda. You drink alcohol regularly. You've been under chronic stress, which burns through magnesium fast. Even a seemingly healthy diet can come up short, because modern farming has depleted magnesium in our soil, leaving produce with far less of this essential mineral than just a generation ago. So even if you're eating your veggies, you may still not be getting enough. Fortunately, magnesium is widely available in food, if you know where to look. Here are some top magnesium-rich foods for older adults. Pumpkin seeds. Just 1 ounce equals nearly 40% of daily needs. Almonds and cashews, dark leafy greens like spinach, Swiss chard, and kale. Black beans and lentils, avocados, whole grains like quinoa and brown rice, dark chocolate. Yes, a little indulgence that's good for you. When possible, aim for food first, because magnesium from whole foods is more easily absorbed and balanced with other nutrients. But if your doctor recommends a supplement, look for forms like magnesium citrate or glycinate, easier on the stomach. Avoid magnesium oxide, which is poorly absorbed and may cause digestive issues. The recommended daily intake for adults over 50 is 420 milligrams for men, 320 milligrams for women. And don't worry, your body flushes out excess magnesium naturally through urine, so moderate supplementation is generally safe for most people. The magnesium-calcium connection. Why they work together. Here's something most people don't realize. Taking calcium without magnesium is like building a house without a blueprint. Too much calcium and too little magnesium can lead to calcium building up in joints, kidneys, or arteries, muscle cramps or stiffness, constipation or fatigue. But when balanced together, calcium and magnesium create flexible, strong, resilient bones. Not brittle, not fragile. Strong bones aren't just about density. They're about balance, between stiffness and flexibility, between structure and function. And that balance? Magnesium is what holds it all together. So if you've been focusing on calcium but still feel like your bones aren't what they used to be, don't forget the mineral that works quietly behind the scenes. Because you don't need to feel stiff, sore, or unstable. With just a few mindful choices, like a handful of pumpkin seeds or a magnesium-rich dinner, you could be giving your bones the support they've been quietly asking for. In the next section, we'll uncover the final mineral in our bone-strengthening trio. It's not just about structure, it's about rebuilding bones from the inside out. Let's talk about zinc, the overlooked builder your bones have been waiting for. Let me tell you a story. A man in his early 70s, let's call him Richard, had always been active. He gardened, walked his dog every morning, and prided himself on doing his own home repairs. But over the past year, something shifted. His cuts took longer to heal. His appetite dropped. And worst of all, he fractured his ankle stepping off a curb. The X-ray showed mild osteoporosis. But when his doctor reviewed his nutrition, one thing stood out. Very low zinc intake. Zinc? Yes. Not the first mineral you think of when it comes to bone health, but one that might just be the most underappreciated player in your body's repair crew. If calcium is the foundation of your bones, and magnesium is the balance that holds things together, then zinc is the foreman on the construction site. It's responsible for activating bone-building cells, called osteoblasts, inhibiting bone breakdown cells, osteoclasts, supporting collagen production, the protein scaffolding inside bone, facilitating wound healing and immune support, both critical after injury or surgery. Without enough zinc, your body struggles to build new bone tissue, especially after a fracture, fall, or even just the daily wear and tear of aging. That's why studies have linked low zinc levels to increased risk of osteoporosis, slower bone healing after fractures, poor bone mineral density, especially in seniors. And yet, many older adults have zinc intake well below optimal levels without ever realizing it. Zinc deficiency is tricky. It doesn't show up overnight, and its symptoms often mimic other age-related changes. Do any of these sound familiar? Decreased appetite, frequent infections, hair thinning, loss of taste or smell, delayed wound healing and feeling weaker or more fatigued. Many seniors assume these are just part of getting older. But often, they're your body's way of saying, "I need more zinc." Here's why zinc deficiency becomes more common after 60. Reduced absorption. The body becomes less efficient at pulling zinc from food. Lower stomach acid, necessary for zinc absorption but often diminished with age. Medications, diuretics, antacids, and certain antibiotics can block zinc absorption. Limited diets. Many seniors eat fewer animal proteins or diverse foods, main sources of zinc. It's a quiet problem, but one with very real consequences for your immune system, bone strength, and healing ability. Here's the good news. Zinc is available in many everyday foods. The best sources include shellfish, especially oysters, highest zinc content of any food, beef and lamb, pork, chicken, especially dark meat, pumpkin seeds, cashews and almonds, chickpeas and lentils, egg yolks and whole grains, like oats, quinoa. But be aware, certain foods and habits can block zinc absorption. These include excessive alcohol, phytates in whole grains and legumes can be reduced by soaking or cooking, and high calcium supplements, which compete with zinc. So while diet matters, it's also about how you prepare your food and balance your nutrients. What about zinc supplements? If your diet is limited, or you have risk factors for low zinc, your doctor may recommend a supplement. The recommended daily intake is 11 milligrams per day for men and 8 milligrams per day for women. For seniors with deficiency, a supplement of 15 to 30 milligrams per day is often used short-term under supervision. But be careful. Long-term high-dose zinc, greater than 40 milligrams per day, can interfere with copper absorption and weaken the immune system. Always talk to your doctor before adding a zinc supplement, especially if you're already taking a multivitamin or bone formula. One of zinc's most overlooked powers is how it helps the body recover, not just prevent problems. Broken bones. Zinc accelerates healing. Surgery. Zinc helps close wounds faster. Weakness after a fall. Zinc aids muscle and tissue repair. Even your sense of balance depends on healthy nerves and inner ear function, both of which rely on zinc. Remember Richard, the man who broke his ankle? After just 12 weeks of a doctor-approved zinc supplement and small changes to his meals, he wasn't just walking again. He was back in his garden, pain-free. He said, "I never thought something so small could make such a big difference." Zinc isn't flashy. It doesn't get billboards or morning news headlines, but it's working for you every day, rebuilding what breaks down, patching what wears thin, and defending what needs protecting. As you age, don't just think about preserving your bones. Think about rebuilding them. And for that, you need zinc, because strength isn't just about density, it's about resilience. And zinc, that's the mineral of resilience. By now, you've seen how calcium, magnesium, and zinc quietly shape the strength of your bones and the quality of your life. These minerals aren't just about bone density, they're about movement, confidence, and staying independent as you age. The best part? You don't need a complete lifestyle overhaul to make a difference. Sometimes it starts with something simple, like adding leafy greens to dinner, soaking up a little morning sun, or asking your doctor to check your mineral levels. So here's your small but powerful challenge. Pick one thing from today's video and do it this week. Just one. That step, no matter how small, can put you back on the path to stronger bones and a more confident life. And if this helped you, leave a comment below. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs to take their first step too. You're not fragile, you're rebuilding. And your journey to strength isn't over. It's just beginning.